Good evening, I'm Praram Vadahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Politicians involved in most of the crisis-ridden cooperatives. Investigations show funds without identified sources being invested. Government indifferent as victims continue suffering. Formation of a parliamentary probe committee to investigate Home Minister still uncertain. Opposition parties want Speaker not to proceed without agreement. Parliament held hostage for political interests. Palestine President Mahmoud Abbas appeals to the Arab countries to provide financial support. Arab countries emphasize on the two-state policy between Palestine and Israel to find an effective and long-term solution. An athlete, Santoshi Shrestha, qualified for Paris Olympics under universality quota, selected for one among other 9 spots for women throughout the world, busy in preparations for the mega event in Paris. One major reason for a probe committee not being formed to investigate the fraud related to cooperatives is the involvement of politicians in cooperatives itself. Opposition parties have been applying pressure on the government to investigate those abusing funds of cooperatives, while the victims have been demanding justice. However, the government has remained indifferent to these demands. Instead, senior leaders of ruling parties have been saying that investigation into the fraud was not necessary. But politicians themselves have been found involved in cooperatives termed crisis-ridden and those failing to return the deposits. Cooperative, who was the secretary of the Cooperatives Department of CPNUML, was the operator of Ideal Yamuna Hamro Cooperatives, which had deposits of around 8 billion rupees of 30,000 depositors. After problems surfaced in the cooperative chaired by Upriti, he was relieved from his responsibilities 2 months ago. The Department of Cooperatives had begun the required procedures to declare the cooperative crisis-ridden after around 200 depositors had filed a complaint demanding the return of their deposits, figuring around 2 billion rupees. Image Savings and Credit Cooperative, chaired by Dhorpatan Municipality Mayor, elected from CPNUML in Baglung, Dev Kumar Nepali, is alleged of abusing around 5 billion rupees of 1,500 depositors. Nepali has been absconding for the past 1 year. Pashupati Cooperatives, declared crisis-ridden by the government, is chaired by Chandra Bahadur Lama, a Congress member of Kavre. Investigations are underway against Lama for alleged abuse of billions of rupees in deposits of hundreds of depositors. Minister for Energy Shakti Bahadur Bosnet, CPN Unified Socialist Parliamentarian Rajendra Pandey, and former Speaker Ansari Gharti have also been linked with irregularities at another crisis-ridden entity, Lali Gurans Multipurpose Cooperative. Operator of Gautam Shri Cooperative, declared crisis-ridden 2 months ago, is chaired by Ram Bahadur Gautam, who is close to CPN Maha Center. Gautam is considered to have close ties with Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal. Minister for Labour Dol Prasad Aryal of Rashtriya Swatantra Party and Joint General Secretary of Rashtriya Swatantra Party Kavindra Burla Koti are also linked with Hamro Naya Krishi Cooperative, chaired by Gitendra Babu Rai and Surya Bahadur Gurung. These facts gathered by us about the involvement of politicians in cooperatives have also been verified by the committee formed for the management of crisis-ridden cooperatives. Sources have claimed that government secretaries and former secretaries were also involved in crisis-ridden oriental cooperatives. Politicians and senior government officials are seen involved in the abuse of funds of that cooperative. In some cases, dummy operators for abuse of funds were created. The government has so far declared 20 cooperatives as crisis-ridden, while the plights of the victims have yet to be addressed. Around 30,000 cooperatives are registered in Nepal. Of them, problems have surfaced in 5 of them, while billions of rupees have been abused. Demand for investigation into the cooperatives related to GB Rai and Home Minister Ravi Lamichhane appears to be power-centered. As involvement of politicians has been seen in most crisis-ridden cooperatives, there is a fear among the political circle about being dragged into investigations. This is also why the parliament has been held hostage while the probe committee is yet to be formed. The issue could also grow silent if the political course of Ravi Lamichhane changes. A meeting of the House of Representatives was postponed by issuing a notice today because of the clash of interest between the ruling and opposition parties regarding formation of a parliamentary probe committee to investigate the alleged involvement of Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs, Chairperson of Rashtriya Swatantra Party Ravi Lamichhane, in the fraud related to cooperatives. Meeting of the Parliament, previously called for 11 this morning, was pushed to 2 p.m. but was then postponed for Sunday as the House meeting did not materialize, while today's meeting of the National Assembly was also obstructed by main opposition Nepali Congress. A joint meeting of opposition parties Nepali Congress, Janata Samajwadi Party Nepal and Loktantrik Samajwadi held this morning decided to continue obstructions at the Parliament until a probe committee was formed to investigate the Home Minister. With the opposition parties joining forces, the ruling coalition is now facing difficulties. Nepali Congress had held the joint meeting of the opposition parties, including the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, and drawn the attention of Speaker Devraj Khimire regarding not proceeding without an agreement. A separate meeting of the ruling coalition was also held to formulate strategies about operation of the parliament meeting. Prime Minister and CPN Mahasena Chairperson Pushpakamal Dahal, CPN UML Chairperson KP Sharma Oli, and Home Minister and Rashtriya Swatantra Party Chairperson Ravi Lamechhane had held a meeting at Singhadarbar. The ruling coalition has remained firm in its stance on not forming the Proof Committee. Speaker Devraj Khimire has made several efforts to hold the meeting between the ruling and opposition parties, but his efforts have not led to anything significant. Clash had erupted at Thursday's parliament meeting because of the same issue. A meeting between Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal and Nepali Congress leaders is set for tomorrow morning to make additional efforts for consensus. The parliament has been held hostage as the ruling and opposition parties have remained divided on the formation of the Parliamentary Proof Committee to investigate the fraud related to cooperatives. The main opposition has continued the stance on continuing obstructions until the committee is formed, while the ruling coalition has said that an individual-centered committee could not be formed. Despite the abuse of funds of the cooperatives being shown as the main reason, there are certain hidden agendas of the parties behind the curtains. Chaos erupted at Thursday's meeting of the House of Representatives as main opposition Nepali Congress remained firm in its demand on formation of the Parliamentary Proof Committee to investigate the alleged involvement of Home Minister Ravi Lamechhane in the fraud related to cooperatives. The ruling and opposition parties had inched closer to an agreement. However, the consensus was never reached, after which the other opposition parties have joined forces with Nepali Congress in their demand for formation of the committee. But the ruling coalition has so far denied proving the Home Minister. Despite the Proof Committee appearing as the main topic, the hidden agenda is the interest of the political parties. Nepali Congress is aiming to create troubles in the political career of Home Minister Ravi Lamechhane and Rashtriya Swatantra Party, of which he is the chairperson. Involvement of Home Minister Lamechhane in abuse of funds of cooperatives has been shown by several documents. If Lamechhane is found guilty in the case, Nepali Congress will find itself in a comfortable position for the next general elections. Nepali Congress is also of the opinion that the current ruling coalition could be split by dividing Rashtriya Swatantra Party. After exiting the government, Nepali Congress is focusing on creating trouble for the ruling coalition. It is also the main reason behind their demand for investigating the Home Minister. CPN UML has a different strategy. It wants to keep the support of Rashtriya Swatantra Party and retain power. UML is aiming to become the largest party from the next general election, which it has termed Mission 84. UML believes that formation of a Proof Committee to investigate Home Minister would lead to his exit from the government and losing Rashtriya Swatantra Party support. UML has embraced the strategy of retaining Rashtriya Swatantra Party at the moment and then dividing it at a later point to draw support of some of its parliamentarians. UML aims to gain the majority at the parliament, form a government under its own leadership, and then head towards a midterm election. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal has separate concerns. If a committee is formed to prove the Home Minister, the ruling coalition is likely to split and Dahal might lose his position of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister agreeing to investigate all frauds related to cooperatives but being unwilling regarding a committee to solely prove the Home Minister is because of the fear of losing power. The power struggle has put Rashtriya Swatantra Party in a complicated situation. The party is in favor of ensuring a clean chit to its chairperson. Lamechhane faces the challenges of losing his political career if found guilty by the Proof Committee and protecting the party as well. However, there have been some voices inside Rashtriya Swatantra Party for formation of the Proof Committee as well. With the investigation into the fraud related to cooperatives being complicated by the political parties to serve their own interests, plight has only been further increasing for the victims who continue awaiting the return of their deposits and justice. In our Public Voice segment, we have asked what should be done to protect the prestige of the parliament. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
नीति सिद्धान्तमा अडिनु पर्यो त्यो व्यक्तिको शर्तमा कुद्नु भएन
एकीले आफूलाई सम्मान गर्न जानु पर्यो कानुन विरोधी कार्य गर्नु भएन
दादागिरी देखाउनु भएन आफ्नो मूल्य मान्यतामा रहनु पर्यो
हाम्रो सांसदहरू चुनिएर गएका छन् तिनीहरू आफूमा एउटा सभ्य नागरिकको नागरिक भएर बस्नुपर्ने हुन्छ।
उहाँले नै हामीलाई राम्रो कुरा सिकाउनुको सट्टा अब उहाँ नै एकअर्कामाथि झैझगडा गरेर देशको विकासको माथि उल्लङ्घन गर्नुभएको छ।
सांसदहरू नै अनुशासित हुनु पर्यो।
अवैधानिक क्रियाकलापहरू छन्, यिनीहरूलाई चाहिँ संसदको चाहिँ मर्यादा अनुसार चाहिँ काम कारबाही गर्न सकिन्छ।
विधिको शासनको चाहिँ स्थापित गर्नुपर्छ।
सबैले आफ्नो आफ्नो मर्यादाभित्र बस्नुपर्छ र एउटा चाहिँ नियमअनुसार चाहिँ विरोध गर्नुपर्छ।
जुन पार्टीबाट पनि होस्, तर त्यहाँ सबै मिलेर चाहिँ नेपालको विकासमा र उन्नतिको लागि जुट्नुपर्छ।
यो संसद हो र यसको गरिमा हुन्छ, यसको नीति नियम हुन्छ, यसको कानुन हुन्छ। त्यो स्वयं मान्नेहरूले आफै सोचिदिएपछि संसदीय मूल्य मान्यता हामीले स्थापित गर्न सक्छौँ।
अहिले कस्तो चलन छ भने राम्रो कुरालाई नि विरोध गरे, नराम्रो कुरालाई नि विरोध गर्ने चलन छ नि, यो चलन हटाउनुपर्छ।
International drug lords have been using the Trivandrum International Airport on several occasions for drug trafficking. Mules who smuggle drugs have their own ways of doing so. The method of trafficking cocaine, considered one of the most expensive drugs in the world, by swallowing capsules is considered very risky. However, this practice has continued unabated. As Nepali airports do not have devices to scan human bodies, drugs are easily smuggled in and out of the country. Two foreigners who had arrived at the Trivandrum International Airport on 12th May were under police observation. Ugandan national Kavina Mugala, who had arrived at the TIA from Ethiopia through Qatar, was arrested by the Narcotics Control Bureau of Nepal Police immediately after exiting the airport after being informed about cocaine capsules inside her stomach. With the assurance that she would be provided with $2,000, Kavina had arrived Nepal with 90 capsules inside her stomach. The Bureau was able to recover 1.26 kilograms of cocaine from her stomach, while one capsule is yet to be recovered. Another woman from Uganda, Lillian Susan Vanizen, was also arrested from Tamil for smuggling cocaine into Nepal. She had brought the drug in chocolate boxes. Despite both Ugandan women arriving in Nepal in the same flight, investigation has shown that they did not know each other. As a gram of cocaine costs more than 10,000 rupees, it is used only by a few in Nepal. However, around 25 kilograms of cocaine has been confiscated in the past 3 years. Most of the cocaine arriving in Nepal come from South American countries with transits in African nations. As an Indian woman was also arrested on Wednesday, police have suspected that women are being used for smuggling of cocaine to India through Nepal. White heroin is another expensive drug which is smuggled into Nepal. 130 kilograms of white heroin has been confiscated in the past 3 years. Nepal police has arrested 16,000 individuals, including 19 foreigners, for their alleged involvement in drug trafficking. Absence of devices with the capacity of detecting drugs at the airport and large involvement of Nepali nationals are serious issues. The international drug lords continue using the TIA for drug trafficking as they consider its security mechanisms very poor. Despite these issues, the government never paid any attention towards installing required devices to detect drugs at the airport. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday we asked, what do you term the halt in trials while investigating the irregularities at trial centers? 27% were for A, high-handedness of traffic and transport management, 20% were for B, high-handedness of trial centers, and 53% were for C, fear of irregularities being discovered. And now here is our today's question. What do you term the Nepal Rashtra Bank easing its monetary policy at the end of the fiscal year? Your options are A, step to revive the market, B, it came late, and C, move out of compulsion. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001. Time now for the international news. The President of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, has appealed to the Arab countries to provide financial support. At the 33rd Arab League conference today, he appealed to the Arab nations to raise the economy, which has stagnated due to the war to run the government. He said that after the occupation of the West Bank by Israel, the revenue raised there is being used by Israel rather than Palestine, so the economic crisis has become worse. In that conference, the Arab countries emphasized on the two-state policy between Palestine and Israel to provide an effective and long-term solution. In addition, the Arab countries also appealed to the international community to grant Palestine full membership in the United Nations. Meanwhile, Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari has said the bodies of 3 captives killed during the October 7 attack by Palestinian armed groups have been recovered from the Gaza Strip. The deceased have been identified as Itzhak Geralanta, Amit Buskila and Shani Lok. Their bodies were found during an operation by the military and government agency Shin Bet.
Sports news.
Athlete Santoshi Shrestha has been qualified for Paris Olympics. Shrestha, who specializes in short distance run, had been exhibiting brilliant performances in long distance races in recent time as well. Santoshi was selected for the Olympics under the universality quota. She was selected for one among the 9 spots allocated for women throughout the world under the universality quota. Santoshi had won a gold medal with a national record at the marathon held in Dhaka, Bangladesh a few months ago. Since then, she has won 6 tournaments including Nepalganj Half Marathon, Lumini Peace Half Marathon and the Half Marathon organized by Tribhuvan Army Club. General Secretary of Nepal Olympic Committee Nilendra Raj Shrestha informed about Santoshi's qualification at the Olympics today. Santoshi is preparing for the Olympics and therefore has not participated at other events. Duana Lama and Alexander Shah of swimming will also compete at the Olympics. Shuttler Prince Tahal, who qualified for the Olympics under the universality quota, and paddler Shantu Shrestha, who qualified on merit, will also represent Nepal at the Mega Sporting Festival in Paris. The Summer Olympics is slated from July 26 to August 11 in Paris. Sudur Paschim thrashed Bagmati by a massive margin of 109 runs to secure their berth in the final of the Lalitpur Mayor Women's Championship. In the match played at the Tribhuvan University International Cricket Grounds in Kantipur, Sudur Paschim were put to bat where they amassed 157 runs, losing only 2 wickets in their 20 overs. Samjana Khatka top scored for Sudur Paschim as she remained unbeaten at 74 runs from 47 balls with 10 fours, while skipper Bindu Rawal and Ruby Poddar contributed 28 runs each and Kavita Joshi was not out at 20. Karishma Gurung picked a wicket for Bagmati while the other wicket of Sudur Paschim fell in a run-out. In reply, Bagmati did not have an ideal start and kept losing wickets at regular intervals before being bowled out at a paltry 48 runs in 16.1 overs. Krishma was the top scorer with 16 runs and the only batter to score in double-digit. Ritu Kanojia was the pick of the Sudur Paschim bowlers with 3 wickets. Kavita Joshi and Lakshmi Saud had 2 wickets each, while Bindu Rawal and Karishma Thapa shared a wicket apiece. With the win, Sudur Paschim finished second in the league stage with 6 points from 4 matches and will take on Armed Police Force in the final of the tournament slated for Saturday. That is all for the moment. Up next is the news in Nepali. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.